Hello and welcome, Cascadia Inswinger. It is the 2021 season, or this early, it's the preseason. But I know that Eddie and I are really excited for MLS to be starting up again next month. The regular season schedule, first set of games have been announced. We're very excited. We're hopefully going to get to some games this year, right, Eddie?
Yeah, hopefully we're going to get to some games. I would love for us to be able to finally do the Cascadia trifecta that you and I have talked about for a few years now.
Yeah, that would require getting to all three games in one weekend. That's definitely a goal. If as things open back up, it should happen. I'm just really excited after these couple months of no soccer to be getting soccer again. And so we're gonna briefly discuss a little bit about each team, kind of get everybody eased back into it. We still have a few more weeks before games, so we'll get a few shows in. We'll go more in depth into Portland in a couple of weeks in their CCL matchup. But let's just start off with Portland's off season. Eddie, what have you noticed so far with Portland?
Well, I was very surprised at the start of the offseason. I think the biggest name I was noticing was departing the team was Marco Farfan, was dealt to LAFC for $300,000 in GAM money. And I am just curious of how that will impact the club. What do you think?
Yeah, Farfan, although he was on and off the field for them, he was still a major part of the Timbers. He's a household name. Everybody knows him. Uh, he had
Definitely fan
national team.
favorite with him being a homegrown.
Yeah, and he had national team experience. Um, I think that the Timbers were ready to move on, and part of that kind of shows in their pickups. They've picked up two new defenders to kind of fill in Farfan's hole that they built. Claudio Bravo and Jose Carlos Van Rankin were their two defenders they brought in. I don't know much about them other than that they're training with the team. Uh, but they should be vying for that fill-in spot for Farfan. Most of their team is coming back from next season. It seems like they want to take that core and take it straight into CCL, which makes sense. They won the MLS is back tournament in Orlando, which allowed them to get to the CCL. They are a tournament-based team. That's how all the experts like to describe them. That's how I've been reading a lot of articles about how people think that Portland could actually win this thing, which would be super cool because no MLS team has won the CONCACAF Champions League. It'd be super cool if one of our Cascadia teams did it first. I would love to see that. But my question for you, Eddie, is do you think they can without Sebastian Blanco, who's still recovering from his torn ACL?
I mean, it will be tough, but I think that the team is definitely there. Portland's never been one that I would sleep on, and so I mean, in a tournament like this, anything's possible. It is going to be home and away. I was kind of surprised when I saw the schedule for this tournament. I felt like with COVID, they were maybe gonna have a flip of a coin or something to see who was gonna host, or at least have it in a central location. I don't know, but they are going to do home and away, it looks like. So aggregate is the word. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, hopefully Timbers can get fans in the stands for those home games because that will help them out a lot. We know that the Timbers Army supports well when they can. But ultimately, it's going to come down to the players on the field. With Blanco on the field, they would definitely have a shot to win this tournament. Without him, it's going to come down to the two Diegos, like we always say, Diego Char, Diego Valeri. But I also want to see Jeremy Abobasi take that next step. He made massive gains last season into a full-time starter in MLS. Can he translate that into CCL success? And I think that's going to be one of the big keys going into the CCL tournament. But ultimately, I think that the Timbers can do it, and I hope they will.
It'll definitely be interesting. Their first match is going to going to be against CD Marathon of Honduras on April 6th. And we'll definitely be previewing that one just before that match. So stay tuned for that show coming up in the coming weeks.
That'll be our first preview of 2021. Really excited for that one. So, all right. So that's Portland. They're getting ready for the CCL.
You want to move up north of the border?
Yeah, let's go north of the border. Let's go to Vancouver next. Vancouver's got some interesting things going on this offseason. They're looking to build their midfield, and they haven't seemed to find that number 10 yet. I know that's the big question mark. Do you think, Eddie, that they're going to get that number 10 before the first game of the season, or do you think they're going to end up having to wait till the summer transfer window?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be the summer transfer window if they find someone then. I know that they were linked to some players that they were offering contracts to, but nothing has come to fruition yet, except they have gotten a right back in Bruno Gaspar, who is on loan for the season from Sporting CP, which is Freddie Montero's old club. So everyone should be well aware of that in Cascadia. So we'll see how he does in MLS for his first year. He has a great track record, playing in major tournaments, definitely a winning track record as well. So definitely a good start for Vancouver. I've always felt like you need to start in the back and build your team forward from there. So good job.
Yeah, that solidifies the right back position for them. He plays the right back position. He has 204 appearances for club and country. He plays for Angola's national team. So the guy can play. I think he really does solidify that back line. And it also kind of changes the tactics a little bit, because they have the only DP defender in the league in Ali Adnan as left back. And now they've picked up a solid right back on loan from Portugal. So they've got some pretty solid wing backs. That makes this team really, if they can find that centerpiece, we already know that they have Lucas Cavallini up top. And so if they can solidify that midfield with the number 10, they're right on track to being a competitive team this year. We saw flashes of that last year. Unfortunately, they don't have Freddie Montero. We're going to get into that news in a little bit, because that's a bombshell later. But I think this Vancouver team's going to come out slow to start the season, partially because of the fact they're still waiting for a number 10.
Which is good news for Portland, as the schedule just came out, and it's going to be Vancouver versus Portland in week 1. The opening week, we already get a Cascadia rivalry match. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch to kick off the season. From what the rumor is, because the border is still shut down to at least start the season, Vancouver was looking at playing their home games in Utah. So they said that Utah was going to fit the best for them. We'll see what happens there. They said that they would not only move the players, but they would move their families down there. That way the players can actually be with the families, which I think will be a huge boost in morale for Vancouver. So
yeah, it's hard
fun
on those Cascadia teams. Really hard, especially having to do it last season when they were based in Portland. This year they kept them out of a rival city. I think that's the right decision, not putting them back in Portland, and bringing their families in. Definitely going to help those players as well. All hopes goes to them being able to play at home by probably summer. I got my fingers crossed. I'm really optimistic.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I feel like it'll probably be, in my eyes, July before you start seeing fans in the stadiums. At least in Cascadia, I think it's going to be July, just because with the vaccines coming out, I think by that time it'll be a little bit more predictable about how things are going.
And it also has to happen if you and I want to do our Cascadia trifecta. We can't do Seattle, Portland, and then go to Utah. I mean, we could, but it would just be a crazy trip.
Yeah, I'll wait until Vancouver's actually in Vancouver.
Yeah, because it's
I
all
enjoy
about
going. I enjoy
it's the
going to
far right.
Vancouver way too much to do the Cascadia trifecta going to Utah.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have for Vancouver heading into
Oh,
the preseason. Oh, you got one more?
I do want to bring up one last thing, kind of involving Vancouver. Um, he's now outside of Cascadia, but Alfonso Davies, former Vancouver Whitecap, was named this offseason to the FIFA's top 11 in the
In
world,
the world.
and he is the first North American player to make that list. On top of that, he won with his club in the FIFA Club World Cup this year. So congrats to Alfonso Davies. Vancouver fans, take that how you wish. Of man, we should have got more for him. Wish we could have kept him, or good on him for uh, all those achievements.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that the best player to come out of MLS has come from a Cascadia team. He's come from the Vancouver Whitecaps, which is absolutely incredible. I know that I've been following him. I watched him play in the CCL final, or not CCL, the Europe Champions League, UEFA Champions League, not CONCACAF, UEFA Champions League. I watched him play in that final, and he's a pleasure to watch. I loved watching him for the Whitecaps. It's a bummer he couldn't stay with the Whitecaps, but he's doing great things around the world.
Yeah, you don't want to hold a player like that back, and
Absolutely not.
so good on Davies for everything that he's accomplished so far.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get to see him towards the end of his career back in Cascadia.
I don't know if he has that deep of a connection with the Whitecaps, to be honest. I mean, yes, he did come through the Vancouver Academy and played his first years there, but I don't think he was like die hard family Vancouver. I don't know. I don't know the guy. Maybe somebody from Vancouver will prove me wrong. But all right. Well, let's head on to Seattle, where I think the most splashes have happened. I think, Portland's getting ready for CCL. Vancouver's still looking for their big piece, but Seattle's had quite the mix-up. They've lost a lot of their players that we thought might stay. Let's go with the who they've lost first, just because we could talk about this for a while. Let's see.
List.
Well, I've got Kelvin Leerdam at right back is gone. Gustav Svensson is gone, and this is as of right now. I guess they could always still sign those guys, but they're currently not on the roster. And Jordan Morris technically is still on the roster, but he got injured and is out for a very long time.
Also, Roman Torres went back to Panama.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jovan Jones just got dealt to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much the entire back line is gone.
Well, yeah, we lost the wings. We lost Jovan Jones. We lost Gustav Svensson.
So who's still there? I know Brad Smith is still in the back line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm lost.
Yeah. I mean, right now they're looking to start either Alex Roldan or Jimmy Madranda at right back because Kelvin Leerdam is gone and they haven't signed anybody since then. So it'll be really interesting to see how they fill in those gaps. They have added players, though. Those players I don't think necessarily fill the gaps. One of the names that if you are a native Seattleite, Kellen Rowe, played his soccer, I think, in Federal Way for Federal Way High School, grew up in the Seattle area, has been playing for a couple different teams, mainly New England in his career, but he finally signed with the Sounders. I know he says he wanted to play for the Sounders for a few years now, and they finally were able to make the deal happen.
Yeah, it's great to see a local guy playing for the local team again. I always love seeing Seattle players being able to stay in Seattle. Well, not even just Seattle players. I love seeing when players from their home states, home cities are able to play with their hometown teams, especially because they grew up watching them. They are very passionate about the Crest. They want to play for the Crest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's an exciting piece. I actually think he's the fill-in for Jordan Morris, but we'll see if Seattle puts him out on the wing. He is a midfielder. The really interesting news, the one that threw both of us for a loop, was the signing of Freddie Montero. He is back in Seattle. What do you make of that one, Eddie?
I'm pretty mixed with this one. I mean, he's a great player. He did frustrate me his first go around in Seattle because he would attack and then the ball would go back and then he would just kind of casually walk back offside, and then the ball, you see it coming back towards him and he's still offside and not able to get into the play. He continued that in his time with Vancouver. There was plenty of times I was watching Vancouver matches where he would do the same exact thing, and it was just frustrating to watch. So for that point of, I'm thinking I'm just going to get frustrated watching the Sounders this season with Freddie Montero. But at the same time, he's a really good playmaker, and he can make the game very exciting. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how he and Rui Diaz are working together on the field, because normally they're both kind of centering the pitch. Are they going to share the forward line together? Or are they going to be one in front of the other? It'll be pretty interesting to see if they're running into each other during matches.
Yeah, it was a hard one for me to piece together for that reason. I don't think Freddie Montero and Rui Diaz are going to fit on the field very well. It'll be really interesting to see how Seattle makes that dynamic work. You talk about Freddie Montero being exciting. I totally agree with you. We saw that month span in Vancouver last year where he was absolutely on fire. I think he had something like 3 goals and 5 assists in a month span, which is phenomenal statistics. I mean, he was all over the place. He basically brought them back to life. Remember, we were talking Vancouver after they played their away games for the Cascadia or the Canadian Championship. They played twice in Vancouver or Toronto, once in Montreal, and then they came back to play at home. And Montero was back in the lineup, and boom, the team looked alive again. It was crazy. And Montero has that ability. He has the ability to make amazing plays and make a team look alive. He also has the ability to disappear. And I think that was one of his problems. That was one of the reasons Seattle shipped him away ultimately, is he disappeared in big games. I don't think he scored a single playoff goal for us in the playoff games he had. So that's the double-sided coin you're going to get with Freddie Montero in the lineup. But absolutely right. He is a big playmaker. I equate him, and I'm gonna get bashed by any Michael Bradley fans out here, but Michael Bradley is the same way. I feel like he has like games where he's the best player on the field for moments at a time, and then there's moments where you don't even realize he's there. And to me, that's Freddie Montero.
Yep. It'll definitely be interesting seeing how this all plays out for the Sounders going into the season. I don't feel like they are as strong of a team as they were last season. So unless they are able to get some key pieces before the season, I think they have to get at least one more key piece before the season starts.
Yeah. They have to figure out their right back, and they have to figure out the Jordan Morris replacement. If they can figure out those two things, they're going to be okay. But even in the midfield, they lose depth. I'm really bummed out that Gustav Svensson wasn't back. But they can't keep everybody, right? That's exactly. Pro sports.
So. In other news, I wanted to point out, I've been looking for it on, but the draw has happened. I'm getting off of our MLS teams real quick, but the draw has happened for the women for our Cascadia Association football.
Yeah.
And they have been drawn into their group for the World Cup. Well, that's supposed to happen this upcoming summer, but it might get pushed back due to COVID. But just wanted to point that I can't find the information right now. I'm trying to do.
But yeah, look it up. Yeah, our fans can look it up if they're interested in the women's Cascadia team. they're playing in the World Cup this summer. So check out that draw. Maybe we'll include it in our next show when we get more details.
Yeah, for sure.
So
So
well, that's all we have for you guys today.
That's it.
That's it. All right. We hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we're excited for the 2021 season. Stay tuned for more content as the season gets closer and Timbers CCL starts.
And as always, go Cascadia.